This is part one of a two-part podcast.
Put Paul's brain on your plot. Do you have a hunk of land but don't know where to start? Do you have a world-changing permaculture idea and you need some feedback? Do you feel like the guy in overalls may inexplicably hold the keys to all your wildest permaculture and homesteading dreams? Well, you're probably wrong. But if you want to give it a go anyway, you can hire Paul for a consultation. He will be all yours for a whole entire hour. Schedule your Paulversation today at permies.com/consult. permies.com/consult.
Okay, so we're going to talk about when you're desperate, when you need to heat your home and all you have is like a wood stove. And normally I want to just talk about rocket mass heaters, but today I want to just talk about any kind of wood stove, any kind of wood heat. And I kind of feel like those of us that have a lot of experience heating with wood know that you should heat only with dry wood. And when there are people that are in a desperate situation and all they've got is green wood, all they can think to do is to wag their finger at them and say, don't. But if you're cold, something's got to change. And so, in a way, both camps are right. And I kind of feel like both camps don't seem to see the obvious solution, which is like once you lock it in that the only wood that you ever burn is dry, and you don't have any that's dry, then it's rather than like, and this is what I see is people that are desperate for heat burning or attempting to burn green wood, which does not burn well. And it is so challenging to do it at all. And it's dangerous. It's got all kinds of very scary problems. And so then and then of course the people on the other camp that have all kinds of dry wood, they just wag their finger over there like, you're going to kill your family and stuff like that. You're going to get a chimney fire, which is true. That's trying to burn green wood is how you get a chimney fire. So they're right, but they're not helping. So this is a very painful topic where most of the information that's available is really, really wrong. And it keeps happening. People keep finding themselves like they're on a new property. They haven't put up any wood and winter sets in and they're trying to heat their home and they're off grid. All they got is wood, is green wood. All right. The answer is not to burn green wood. The answer is to dry it first and then burn the dried wood that's been quickly dried. And most of the techniques that are out there about how to season wood or dry wood, most of the information is like, okay, that works great if you can dry it for a full summer or maybe even a couple of years. But when you're like, I need dry wood today, then it's like that's the dumbest way to go about trying to do it. Now, I'm going to tell you that if you've got only green wood and you're desperate, it's going to be a lot of extra work. And oftentimes when you're on a brand new homestead and you're trying to come up with heat, you don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to do my best to try to paint a picture of how you're going to be able to get this wood to dry really, really fast. And so, I think that the first thing is, and so, Andres, can you show the slide where I've got the little stubby wood in a crate? I think that the first step, one of the big steps is that a lot of times the reason why people don't have any dry wood is they don't have any wood racks at all. And so where do you put it? And so I kind of, and I'll get to this later, but I think one of the big things is that if you've just got a whole lot of wood racks, like more than you would ever need, wood sheds, wood racks, etc., so you got a place to put it, that can make all the difference right there, to just have a place to store, especially wood racks indoors. Like, can you store a full face cord indoors so it can be drying indoors? But here's the other thing: these wood crates. I'm gonna say I bought these. You can get a dozen of them at Michael's for like $10 a pop, something like that. That included shipping, I think, if I remember correctly. And so we have lots of these, and you can make them yourself and whatnot. But these are pretty decent, pretty nice. But I gotta say, I think that if you are in a pickle, that having some crates like this, I don't think cardboard boxes will be as good, but if you don't have the crates, maybe cardboard boxes is all you're going to be able to do. But the thing is like, if you look at that image on the right, you can kind of see what we've done. That was some greenish wood lying around on the ground, sloppy wet, in a bunch of different ways. And so, threw it in a box there. Now, I don't think you can see, but you can kind of see on the left side, that's our Christmas tree from this year. We just took the pruners and cut it up into bits and threw it into one of these crates. And, it's in there all higgledy-piggledy. It's slowly drying. It isn't ready to burn yet, but it'll probably be ready to burn in a couple more weeks. But the one thing about the box on the right, if I wanted it to dry even faster, I would have stacked those little bits more on end than they're kind of laying on their side. And so for a lot of the boxes where we've done this, it's kind of in there all higgledy-piggledy. So some of the pieces are up and down, and some of the pieces are side to side, and all the things in between. The important thing is, if you stack it on end, if you think of sticks as like a bundle of straws, then if you stack it on end, it is my belief that it will dry about 10 times faster. So if you think of it as a bundle of straws, then the water that's in it can flow out. Whereas if it's on its side, it doesn't flow out as well, but it will eventually dry out. The other thing is that if you were to cut it down to kindling size, like you can see in this image, it'll dry out much faster than if it's big blocks of wood. And then next up is going to be that if you can cut your kindling sticks into something that's a third of the size, or a third of the length, or a quarter of the length, it'll dry even faster. So, as we're talking about this, I'm kind of hoping that the people that are here as part of the live thing will type into the chatty chat. Of course, the app that we use had to change everything. So, I'm not sure if it's working correctly. I haven't seen any messages appear yet. Andreas, are people typing stuff, or am I just not seeing it?
Nobody has typed yet, but I'll let you know if they do.
All right. Okay, I wrote an essay about this, and I kind of feel like, I don't know, the people burning the green wood, don't do that. Don't ever do that. I know you're desperate and you need to do something right away, and something's got to change, but please do not put green or wet wood into the firebox. That's how you get chimney fires. And then for those people that have, enough wood for the next 3 years, all nice and dry, please avoid shaming those people. It just seems like that's the way that everybody does it. Is they like neener, I've got dry wood and you don't, you're dumb, I'm smart. And it's like, how about if we help those people out instead? They are in a pickle and they could use, and a few kind words will go a long ways. So, but I do want to emphasize burn only dry materials, but we're going to talk about how to dry those materials in a couple of weeks and how to optimize it further to dry it in less than a week, and then how to optimize it further to dry it in a couple of days. And for certain situations, you might be able to get some burnable dry wood in a couple of hours. And so, the other thing I think is worth mentioning here, which I don't have listed on this document, is the idea of how we are currently doing an experiment. Now, of course, I'm using a rocket mass heater instead of a wood stove, and this thing that we're recording right now is for people with all of it, with wood stoves, rocket mass heaters, any of it. But the cool thing about a rocket mass heater is that you heat your home with so little fuel, generally about a tenth of what it would take with a conventional wood stove. We're doing an experiment this year to see if we can get through the entire winter heating our home with nothing but cardboard, papery garbages, and garbagey wood. And so for us, garbagey wood includes green wood, green or wet wood that we found outside that needs to be dried quickly and before we try to burn it. But the key, but part of this is that if you are desperate for heat, one of the things you can turn to is cardboard and papery garbage. Most people who are desperate for heat are still thinking about, they're going to go out and they're going to get regular firewood, probably dead standing. And it's like, but there's so much more out there that you could get and dry and process and get it nice and dry. And I kind of feel like, well, cordwood is the tradition. And also, if you've got a conventional wood stove and you're trying to heat your home, yeah, you're going to need 10 times more wood than I need. And so it starts to be a lot. So garbagey wood, it's a lot of work to get garbagey wood, compared to cordwood. So cordwood is fast and quick but it's also tougher to dry. Smaller sticks will dry faster, but okay. Yes. And the other thing is like this time of year, when people go out and it's cold outside and they go to cut down a dead standing tree, unfortunately, a lot of those people take down a western larch, which is a live tree that drops its needles in the fall. And it's like, okay. And I've made this mistake in the past. And it's like, damn it. And so, I'm going to set that wood aside for a year. But if I were desperate, I could use these techniques. But usually if you're going to go and get some dead standing, look for a tree that has brown needles on it. And so that's going to be a very dead tree. It's going to be quite dry. Any wetness is going to be on the outside of the tree. But the thing is if it's standing and it's dead, then the interior wood is probably quite dry. The only wetness will be from any kind of weather that's worked its way in a little bit. But that's going to dry out the fastest inside. Okay. Let's see. Kindling dries faster. We talked about that. Stack it on the end. We talked about that. I would say bring it indoors. I think that these crates are the way to fly. If you're desperate, mostly because it's easier to stand your wood on end, and also it'll hold your wood if you've cut it into kind of a kindling size, and then cut it to like 1/4 length kindling size, and so it'll dry out a lot better. So all right, we are live. It's we had technical difficulties last week. We were going to give this presentation last week, and then we postponed it until this week. So it sounds like we need to change that. Andreas is on it. Okay. But if you have a lot of wood storage indoors, then the little bits of wood that you bring in will be in a warm space, and it'll dry out much faster than if it's outside. Because if it's outside and it's below freezing, the freezing part, even if it's in a woodshed, the freezing part will hold the water in, which is not what you're after. And so, but if you can bring a lot of wood indoors, it can, and what we do, Andreas, if you could pop over to that picture of all those crates, because what we do is with a rocket mass heater, and of course, probably most of the people looking at this don't have a rocket mass heater, but just saying what we do, we'll have like 10 crates sitting on top of the mass of the rocket mass heater, so the mass gets warmed up and the heat rises and warms all of that wood, and so the heat coming underneath it is going to be like 110 degrees, and it'll help to dry it out a little bit faster. With a conventional wood stove, there are some things that you can do, but you could just start stacking crates about 3 feet away from your wood stove. So there's going to be some air motion and some heat around the wood stove, and some of that air will move through the crates a bit. You don't want to get the crates too close to your wood stove. Just like we're not moving these crates too close to our radiator on the rocket mass heater, so the barrel. Warm, dry air circulation. Now, the next thing is that some people will have some electricity, and so they might be able to have a convective oven or an air fryer. And so in which case you could put a little bit of your firewood inside of the convective oven or the air fryer, set it to a very low heat, but with a lot of blowing on it. This will, while you're drying your wood in there for an hour or two, while it will effectively dry out your firewood really well, it'll accidentally also add in some of the heat to the room. Probably not the thing you really want to do, but it'll do a little bit. Okay, Samantha's here.
Hey.
So Samantha,
Yeah.
I believe you have heated spaces before with wood heat, but have you ever, like, I don't know, how much experience do you have with a conventional wood stove?
I've run conventional wood stoves for years, keeping myself warm. And I thought it was so funny when you had this topic for a webinar, because I've played with heating myself with wet wood quite a lot, and so I think this is kind of a fun topic. I lived in what I think of as the rainforest for a long time, the Pacific Northwest, where we get a lot of rain. I taught a lot of wilderness classes, especially with kids. So like teaching the kids how to get warm and how to start a fire when it's raining and it's been raining. So I thought that was a really fun, topic for you guys to talk about today. And I've also, camped and had only green wood or only wet wood to try to keep myself warm. So I think this is fun. I don't recommend the green and wet wood as a technique, of course, but it can be done. There are ways that you can make it work. But obviously the drier wood, the wood, the better. But you can find the underside of wood where it's not been getting rained on. You can take a stick and you can open it up and get the inside of the wood, and you can just split stuff down so that it's really, really small and it'll dry. The main thing is that you can't burn wood that has water in it, because the water has to boil out. It has to evaporate before the wood itself will burn. So whatever you've got to do to make that happen. And sometimes just stacking wood around the wood stove. I've gone through a lot of winters where I've got a wall of wood stacked around, at a safe distance around my wood stove, so that all the heat from my house is gradually heating that wood, and then you just rotate through it.
I'm Edward Norton. No, not that one, the other one, and I love pies. No, not that kind, the other kind. Hermes is an old-school forum packed full of friendly people who occasionally give out a slice of pie. You'll never forget your first slice of pie. It made me feel so good, I had to buy a whole pie so I could share the love. Oh, and there's apples too. Sign up at permies.com to join in the world of homesteading and permaculture, and you too might get a slice of pie.
I want to address the thing about boiling the water out of the wood.
Mm-hmm.
And I've observed this. I've seen it. And it's like, and in fact, part of what I do now is when I pick up a stick of wood, and granted, this comes after years of heating with wood. It's like, I go to pick up a stick and it's like, wait a minute, wait. This is a very heavy stick.
Mm-hmm.
It should not be this heavy.
Yeah.
And so then I start shoving my thumbnail into it to see if I can get any juice out of it and stuff like simple little quick things like that.
Yeah.
But I've done it where before I would put a stick in and then I would see the water boiling out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that let's say a person wanted to heat exclusively with wet wood. Not only are you building the perfect recipe for a chimney fire, which will kill you and your family.
Right.
But on top of that, if you manage to get heat out of it, it's going to be 10 times the work and 10 times the amount of wood that you need to heat your home. Samantha, do you have any thoughts about whether my math is close?
This might sound crazy, but I really don't think you get heat out of it, the wet wood. I think that you use the heat of the fire to boil the water and heat the wood up to a temperature where it can burn. But the amount of heat that you've used to do that, it's like you can sit with a wet wood fire and it's not warm. Like, it uses its heat. Cause the thing about the fire is, like, you're using, if you have a fire and you put dry wood in that fire, you are actually pulling heat out of that fire to bring that wood up to temperature in order for the wood to combust and then to create heat. But if you put wet wood or wood that is, whether it's green or super cold, like you went outside and got frozen wood, whatever you're putting in that fire, you are pulling heat from the core of that fire to bring that piece up to combustion. So ideally you want to get that wood as hot as possible. Also putting it, so it's not taking heat from the core, especially like with a rocket mass heater. I think this is probably more doable than with a lot of other heating sources, but you can try to put the wood on the outside so it absorbs heat, but it doesn't take from the fire. Or if it's a campfire or a wood stove, like up on the side or in the corners where it's not like sucking from the core. But yeah, in terms of like actually getting heat off of a green wood or wet wood fire, I don't think you're getting much heat. I think you're able to maybe keep the thing going.
Yeah, I think
my experience.
Which is where and then when so many people with a conventional wood stove do this thing, which is basically very intentionally putting something that's wet or green on the fire at night, and then they turn the air intake down real low, and they want to get an all-night burn. So they put a giant log on that's probably not as dry as it could be. But they'll put this giant log on, and they believe that this is going to put out heat all night. But I think that it's gonna be all sorts of problems. It's just a bad idea. The whole idea of the all night burn is a bad idea any way you look at it. And it's like, if you've got a conventional wood stove, then it's like, okay, what we need to do is get you to the point where you're gonna warm your house up at night, and then you're gonna cork the wood stove completely. So you're gonna turn the air intake down to 0. And you are not gonna have a fire going while you sleep. Do not do that. It'll do the opposite of what you're after. You'll be warmer in the morning if you can just cork your wood stove completely. And so the all-night burn idea is just bad all the way around. There's nothing good there. Okay. And I love to see in the chatty chat if anybody thinks that I'm wrong. And so, but I agree with the whole thing of like, okay, how much wood can you bring in? The more wood that you can store indoors, the happier you will be. I mean, if nothing else, like if you've got some big ass wood racks inside the house and you're filling them up before fall, you're way ahead of the game. But if we go and we look at people, I mean, basically this thing that we're recording right now is for those that are desperate. They find themselves in a desperate situation. They have 0 dry wood, and they desperately need something. They need heat, and they need it now. Like, oh, my child is sick, and I need to get the temperature in here up to help the kid, fight off the sick.
Exactly. And there are ways to do that. And I've totally been in that situation where I didn't get any wood and I have to go do something about it. So there is a lot of things. Like if you're in a place where you have dead wood, but it's soaking wet, if you have rounds of wood, you can chop the outside off. If it's got bark, pull all the bark off and run around the whole thing with a hatchet and peel all that soaking material off, because the inner stuff will be drier. And if you can hatchet it up into little bits, those core woods are going to be okay, probably.
So I would have to say that if you find it on the ground, chances are it is soaked through.
It's going to suck, yeah.
If it's
a couple days before you can burn it.
Like, oh, here's a tree. Oh, here's a live tree, but it's got dead branches. Those dead branches will probably be pretty good. But if the tree itself is dead, definitely dead, and you can tell it's dead because of the brown needles, because if it's a tree that appears to be dead and has no needles at all, chances are it's a western larch and it dropped its needles. It's still a live tree. But if it's definitely dead, then if you cut it down, most of that wood's going to be quite dry, even if it's currently raining out or snowing out. A lot of that wood is going to be quite dry in there. Mm-hmm. So now the drying task is not too substantial. You got to get it inside and dry it out that last 20% or so, and it'll be ready to burn. And it won't take a lot to do that. And you're right. If it's more in the middle, if it's going to be a bigger chunk of wood, and if you could cut out the most outside bits and set those aside to dry, that inside bit is going to be quite dry, and it could be ready to burn right now. And so, and that'll give enough heat to help dry out the outer bits that you've set aside.
Yeah, if you've got a forest or something and you can find something that's leaning over, a lot of times a tree that has died will have a bit of a lean to it, which means the underside of that might not have been getting that wet. And like you're saying, those branches, just peel the bark off those branches and they'll be pretty good dry wood. This is another place where if you're running a rocket mass heater, you're really lucky because all you need is a handful of sticks to heat your house. right? Like if you're running a wood stove and you need a wheelbarrow full of wood, it's going to take a lot longer to find okay, kind of wet, kind of dry wood. But a rocket mass heater is like, I just want, an armload of sticks is going to set me up for a couple days. And that's a really neat thing. I've set up wood racks, and somebody in the chat was talking about making a wood rack over their rocket mass heater. I know you have one of those in your library. I've set that up where it's on the wood stove, like set it up enough that, it's safe, right? You can't just put a piece of wood on top of your wood stove, but because it will burn and smoke probably before you notice it, and then you'll have smoke in the house. Oh
yeah. Anything that, if you're going to depend on human discipline, it's your failure point. And so I don't want to ever suggest that anybody ever put wood above a conventional wood stove.
Yeah.
And so, but I do want to come back to that. You've said a bunch of things, and one of the things that I want to say is I heated my home for more than 10 years with a wood stove. And it was like different homes with different wood stoves too. Like I lived with my granddad when I was a kid, and we heated exclusively with wood. And then, different situations later, exclusively with wood. So I've got all these years of experience, and now I heat with a rocket mass heater, and it's like, wow, what a difference. It's like, instead of trying to, because when you're heating your home with, a wood stove, you're doing like, 5 to 12 hours a day, maybe 18 hours a day of burn, and warm. And, the rocket mass heater is like maybe an hour, probably not even an hour. And then you're good for the next day or two. And it's like, it is wild what the difference is. And then the wood feed is tiny, whereas the conventional wood stove, you got a big firebox. You put a lot of wood in there, and you're going out to the wood pile several times a day, kind of a thing. Whereas with the rocket mass heater, it's kind of like you're putting this many sticks in there, maybe twice, maybe 3 times each day. It's so much less. So there's that. Next up, I want to come back to the thing where we were talking about having a conventional wood stove. I think having stacks of wood a couple feet away from the wood stove is great.
Yeah.
I would never put wood above a wood stove. And there's ways you could do it in theory. And I would still say just don't. And the reason why I say that is because I have met people who thought they were that clever, and that stuff caught on fire.
Oh, yeah. So, well, it will actually smoke and be letting out gases in the house long before it catches on fire.
Yeah.
Right? So, and you can have a piece of wood that just fell against the wood stove, and a corner of it can be getting hot, and you're smoking yourself before you even know where that's coming from. So, yeah, it's really not safe. I would just take the extra time. It doesn't take that much extra time for it to dry away from the stove, especially if you turn it, and just getting it in the house makes a huge difference. Yeah. Getting it in the house, getting it up to temperature, allowing it to dry a bit. But you don't want to be taking the risk. You're trying to be in a hurry. You don't want to take that risk of getting the smoke in your lungs. And I mean, if you're talking about somebody with a sick kid, you certainly don't want that in the house. So just be super careful.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think all right, if you're going to try to heat your home with green wood, then something's got to give, because you're not going to heat your home if you try to burn the green wood. You need to dry it first. And if you can't come up with the space to put wood to dry indoors, then it's one giant fail-a-rooney.
You just kind of start stashing it everywhere, and getting it as small as possible, busting it up. If it's cordwood and you're running a wood stove, you're not going to be burning big chunks because it's got to get dry. Got to get that water out.
So, Andres, can you go back to that image with the crates? So we've got our system with crates, and the big thing is that when the wood that's inside the crate is still a little juicy or green, and we've got some wood that we picked up off the ground, so it's wet all the way through, and we've got some wood that came from, like, there's our Christmas tree, so that wood was green.
Oh, fun.
On the 1st of January, it was green. On the 1st of January, we took down our Christmas tree and we clipped it up in little pieces and put it in these crates.
Interesting.
And so that was green all the way through. So we have a system where it's like the stuff that's farthest away from the wood feed is going to need some time to dry.
Yeah.
The stuff that's closest to the wood feed is ready to be burned. And so we're doing an experiment this winter. We have not yet touched our wood pile of dry wood. So whenever we're ready, there's dry firewood, cordwood standing by, ready to be used. So as an experiment, we hope to be able to finish the winter. I don't think we'll pull it off, but I hope we'll be able to finish the winter to be able to say we went a whole winter burning nothing but cardboard and paper garbage and garbagey wood. And so by garbagey wood, we're talking about like we pruned a tree and we kept the prunings, or these were sticks lying on the ground just outside the front door, or also from the wood shop we saved little bits of wood that were too small to like dimensional lumber. But we also do a lot with round wood. In fact, the Boots here, they made a roundwood chair a couple of months ago.
Oh, cool.
And so they used the draw knife to kind of peel logs that were green. And so they took all that stuff, they swept it all up and put it into a crate and we burned it. And that stuff dried really fast.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you can draw that would take a while, but yeah, if you can draw knife the wood. I love that your bits are so tiny. I mean, this is so funny for somebody who runs a wood stove. Like these are like kindling boxes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But this is actually your firewood.
But this was green and or wet wood just a few weeks ago.
Wow.
But because we cut it up small, I can go pick that wood up. Here, let me go grab a couple pieces and I'll show you.
That's so cool. For me, it's a wheelbarrow's worth of wood to get through a day. And I used to try to get, like 3 days in the house at once, which is a lot of wood sitting around, but it's okay. Now I have a better wood shed, so I don't have to be so picky about it. But this is a tiny amount of wood. How many days of wood is this?
So this
is your Christmas tree. This
is the Christmas tree. And so, but the needles are already falling all over my desk.
Nice.
That's okay. So that stick right there, it's still kind of bendy, not crispy. I'd say this still has a week or two to go.
Oh, okay.
All right. Now, this was pulled up off the ground, and this is now, I did a fire in the Rocky Mountain heater this morning. This is actually warm. It feels really warm. But this was picked up off of the ground 2 weeks ago, and then you can see we cut into the inside of it, and it's got another little split in it. But it's fairly small and short, but this is light and dry right now. This is ready to be burned.
Nice.
This is ready to be heat. The warmth of it is amazing. It feels so warm. It's holding the heat because it was sitting on the mass.
Yeah.
This podcast is continued in part 2.
Hi, this is Mark. There are a lot of reasons to get angry these days, but I prefer to focus on the positive things that we each can do to make this world a better place. The book Building a Better World in Your Backyard, Instead of Being Angry at Bad Guys, is a great resource for just that. Instead of throwing my arms up in frustration at governments or big corporations, there's a list of ideas that we each can tackle to affect change. Information about this book and other resources can be found at Permies.com.